the virus coming out of a monkey is impractical or impossible for the following reasons. If you look at Africa, if the virus came from monkeys, you would expect the virus to have spread from the jungles to the cities. Of course, that isn't what's happening or what's happened. It's spreading from the cities into the jungles. If you look at Africa, those most closely associated with the African green monkeys, the reputed animal of origin, pygmies, should have been infected with the AIDS virus, and up until the last 6 months or a year or so, pygmies were virtually 100% free of AIDS virus infection, and they only got infected after intercourse or contamination from prostitutes of the cities or by drug contamination from intravenous drug abuse from the cities. Stronger evidence against the virus actually coming from monkeys is the codon choices of the AIDS virus. And that means that the genetic information of the AIDS virus, known as codon choices, are not found in monkeys. They're not in monkeys. They're not in man. They actually exist in VACCINATION virus and a few other viruses of the laboratory. That's where the genetic structure, the genetic material, the so-called information of the genes of the AIDS virus look like VACCINA, as we already know, and bovine leukemia virus. So all of these mitigate against the virus coming from monkeys and spreading in Africa.
If viruses responsible for AIDS are identical to animal viruses, then how could they cross the species barrier to humans?
Now, how could you adapt a virus, say bovine VACCINA virus, if you had it in hand to grow in human beings? This is actually the crux of the AIDS issue. The NIH would have us believe, and other so-called AIDS experts, that the virus jumped species from chimpanzees in Africa to humans by biting someone on the butt, and then bam, we got AIDS all over Africa. Now, of course, they tell us, don't they, that you can't transfer this virus by biting or by saliva, yet they would have us believe that this monkey transferred it by saliva. And the fact of the matter is that the AIDS virus reportedly won't grow in African green monkeys. It doesn't cause disease there. And the genes of the AIDS virus don't look like monkeys. They look like the disease affecting cattle and sheep. So, if we had a virus named bovine VACCINA in our laboratory, how could we adapt it, accidentally or on purpose, to grow in humans? Now that was addressed in a series of very interesting experiments published by Stuart Aronson of the National Institute of Health in 1971. The first article was called Common Alterations of RNA Tumor Viruses, and what he did was he grew a mouse virus, an RNA retrovirus of mice, in human tissue. And what happened was that mouse virus adapted to human tissue. It became human-like in a sense, and it would now only grow in human tissue. It would no longer grow in a mouse. Now that was expanded in 1972 or so in a paper published by Leon Domchowski and Koshu Maruyama from Texas Medicine, 1973, in an article entitled Cross-Species Transmission of Mammalian, we're mammals, RNA Tumor Viruses. And what they did in this paper was to show that you could take a species such as, say, cattle or sheep, and serially passage a virus, specifically an RNA retrovirus, in tissue cultures, and adapt that virus to grow in another species, like man.
The next question is, if AIDS was made in a laboratory from a sheep and a cattle virus, how did it then get to Africa?
Now, this question was addressed partially in an article written Monday, May 11th, 1987. And in that article, in the front page of the London Times, which addressed the question of, was there an association between the WHO vaccine programs in Africa and the outbreak of AIDS? Their conclusion was the following, that there was an association. Well, the story goes like this. Supposedly somebody had been hired by the WHO to investigate whether or not the WHO vaccine programs in Africa, the WHO meaning the World Health Organization, which were the WHO vaccine programs which were responsible for eradication of smallpox in Africa, may have been a contributing factor to the spread of AIDS in Africa. Evidently, a researcher who has remained anonymous, is afraid to reveal his name, was hired by the World Health Organization to investigate that study. He did a study over a year or two. He wrote a report. He submitted it to the World Health Organization. The WHO was paid, and that was the end of it. A year or so later, he walks in to the London Times and throws the report on Pierce Wright's desk, who is the science writer at the London Times, and said, if you really want to know what's going on with AIDS in Africa, here's the answer. That article was the impetus for the printing of this story, which said there's a correspondence between the WHO's program in Africa and the outbreak of AIDS. So, if the basic question is cross-species transmission of these viruses, you say, how did cross-species transmission occur? Did it occur by some monkey biting somebody on the butt in Africa and then AIDS all over Africa? Or was it by serial adaptation of the virus to humans by growth in human tissue culture?
Have we seen any reports that talk about a virus being specifically designed to destroy the human immune system in the same way AIDS does?
It was requested. Surely nobody would request the AIDS virus. Yet, when you address Bulletin of the World Health Organization, published in 1972, it says specifically the following.
An attempt should be made to ascertain whether viruses can in fact exert selective effects on the immune function by depressing 7S versus 19S antibody or by affecting T-cell as opposed to B-cell function. The possibility should be looked into that the immune response to the virus may itself be impaired if the effective viruses damage more or less selectively the cells responding to the viral antigens.
Now what does that say? That says, let's make a virus that selectively inhibits the T-cell system of man. And of course, what is that virus? That virus is AIDS.
Kuona sasa udhaifu wa maisha ndani ya jamaa, hapo wala tunaweza kwamba kwanza mapibisite akuditapa na kuonesha watu nilikuwa hivi nilikuwa niko mgonjwa asida delivu, lakini hakuna reaction.